The credit card statement arrived on a Tuesday morning in late January, tucked between a grocery store flyer and a donation request from the animal shelter downtown. I almost threw it away without opening it. Almost. But the return address caught my eye. Capital Reserve Financial. I didn't recognize the name. My husband Liam and I had two credit cards, one Chase card we used for everything, and one Discover card we kept for emergencies. Both were in my wallet upstairs, gathering dust since we'd switched to using our debit card for daily expenses 3 months ago when we'd started budgeting more carefully. I stood in our kitchen, January sunlight streaming through the window above the sink, and tore open the envelope. The statement showed a balance of $8,347.62. My hands went cold. I scanned the list of charges. Tiffany & Co., $2,400. The Pemberton Hotel, $890. Bella Rosa Restaurant, $340. La Perla Boutique, $680. Another charge at the Pemberton Hotel, $890. Rosa's Fine Jewelry, $1,200. The dates ranged across the past 4 months, November 8th, November 22nd, December 6th, December 18th, January 4th, January 11th. I knew those dates. November 8th was when Liam had stayed late at the office for a client presentation. December 6th was the night he'd gone to the gym and come home at 10:30 p.m. smelling like expensive soap instead of sweat. January 11th was last week when he'd said he was meeting his business partner Gavin for drinks to discuss their civil engineering firm's upcoming project bids. The kitchen suddenly felt too small, too bright. The coffee maker burbled behind me, finishing its cycle, and the sounds made me jump. I read the statement again, slower this time, looking for some explanation that would make sense. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe someone had stolen Liam's identity. Maybe this was Gavin's card and it had been sent to our address by accident. But the name on the account was clear, Liam Hutchins, and the billing address was our house, 2847 Maple Grove Drive. I set the statement down on the counter and stared at it like it might spontaneously combust. My coffee sat untouched in its mug, steam rising in lazy spirals. Outside, a garbage truck rumbled past. Someone's dog barked twice, then stopped. Normal sounds, a normal Tuesday morning, except nothing about this was normal. I'd been married to Liam for 3 years, together for 5 before that. We'd met at a mutual friend's barbecue where he'd impressed me by knowing the actual lyrics to an obscure 90s R&B song I'd been singing along my entire life. He was smart, funny, and ambitious. He'd started his civil engineering firm with Gavin 6 years ago, and they'd slowly built it into something stable and successful. We'd bought this house 2 years ago, a modest 3-bedroom craftsman with a backyard perfect for the dog we'd been talking about getting. I worked as a food and beverage director at a boutique hotel downtown, managing everything from the restaurant to the catering department. We had date nights every Thursday. We'd just booked a trip to Jamaica for April. We were happy. Or I thought we were. I picked up my phone and called Liam's office. His assistant, Petra, answered on the second ring. Hutchins and Drake Engineering, this is Petra. Drake, Gavin's last name. The business was named after both of them, though Liam had always been the face of the company, while Gavin handled more of the back-end operations. Hi, Petra. It's Simone. Is Liam available? Oh, hey, Simone. He's actually not in yet. He had an early meeting with a potential client. Should be back around 11. Want me to have him call you? An early meeting at 9:30 on a Tuesday morning. He'd left the house at 7:45, kissed me goodbye, and said he'd see me tonight. He hadn't mentioned any early meeting. No, that's okay, I said, keeping my voice level. I'll just call his cell. Thanks, Petra. I hung up before she could respond and immediately called Liam's cell phone. It rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. His voice, warm and professional. You've reached Liam Hutchins. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I didn't leave a message. Instead, I took a photo of the credit card statement with my phone, then folded the paper and tucked it into my purse. I finished getting ready for work on autopilot, brushing my teeth and fixing my hair while my brain spun in circles. There had to be an explanation. Liam wouldn't cheat. He wouldn't lie. We'd built a life together. We'd made promises. But the charges didn't lie either. $8,347.62 spent on jewelry, hotels, expensive dinners, and lingerie that had never shown up in our bedroom. I arrived at the hotel at 10:15, later than usual. My assistant manager Bree was already handling the morning briefing with the restaurant staff, so I slipped into my office and closed the door. The credit card statement burned in my purse like evidence at a crime scene. I pulled it out again and studied each charge more carefully. The Pemberton Hotel appeared twice. I knew that place. It was a luxury boutique hotel on the other side of town, the kind with a rooftop bar and rooms that started at $400 a night. Competitors, technically, though we catered to different clienteles. They went for ultra-premium business travelers and romantic getaways. We focused on local events and intimate weddings. Why would Liam need a hotel room? We lived 20 minutes from his office. Unless he wasn't going there alone. My stomach twisted. I opened my laptop and logged into our joint bank account, the account we'd set up when we got married, the one we used for all our shared expenses, mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, everything. I scrolled through 3 months of transactions, nothing unusual. Liam's paycheck deposited every 2 weeks like clockwork. My paycheck deposited monthly. Automatic payments for our mortgage and car loans, grocery store charges, gas stations, our Thursday night restaurants. No Capital Reserve financial payment. No $8,347.62 being paid off, which meant this credit card wasn't connected to our joint account. Liam must have a separate account I didn't know about, money I'd never seen. The office walls seemed to close in. I could hear Bree outside my door, talking to someone about a catering order for a corporate lunch. Normal work sounds, but my hands were shaking as I closed the laptop. I texted my best friend Nia, "Can you talk? It's important." She responded in 30 seconds. "Conference call until noon. What's wrong?" "Call me when you're free, please." "Will do." I spent the next 2 hours in meetings I barely paid attention to. A vendor wanting to discuss spring menu changes, a bride having a meltdown about centerpiece options for her March wedding, my staff manager asking about scheduling for Valentine's Day, which was in 2 weeks, and apparently we were already fully booked for our restaurant. Valentine's Day. Liam and I had reservations at Marcello's, the Italian place where we'd had our first date 8 years ago. He'd made the reservations 6 weeks in advance because Marcello's was impossible to get into on Valentine's Day. Had he also made reservations somewhere else? For someone else? At 12:14, my phone rang. "Nia." "Okay, I'm free," she said without preamble. "What's going on? You never text like that unless something's seriously wrong." I told her everything. The credit card statement, the charges, the dates that matched times Liam had been working late or at the gym or meeting Gavin for drinks. Nia was silent for a long moment after I finished. "Simone," she finally said, her voice careful, "I don't want to jump to conclusions, but—" "I know how it looks," I interrupted, "but there has to be an explanation. Liam wouldn't do this. He wouldn't." $2,400 at Tiffany's, Nia said quietly. "When's the last time Liam bought you jewelry from Tiffany's?" "Never. Liam had bought me jewelry before, but usually from smaller boutique stores. My engagement ring had come from a family jeweler his mother had recommended. Beautiful, but not Tiffany's." "Maybe it's for your birthday," Simone suggested, though she didn't sound convinced. "Your birthday's coming up in March." "Maybe," I said. But I didn't believe it either. "What about the hotel charges and the lingerie store?" I had no answer for that. "You need to confront him," Nia said, "tonight. Don't let him dodge this. Show him the statement and ask him to explain. Give him a chance to tell the truth." "What if the truth is what I think it is?" I asked. My voice came out smaller than I intended. "Then you deal with it," Nia said firmly. "But you deserve to know, Simone. You can't just sit on this and drive yourself crazy wondering." She was right. I knew she was right. Confront him tonight, Nia repeated, and call me after. I don't care what time it is. We hung up, and I stared at my office wall. A framed photo of Liam and me from our wedding day hung next to my diplomas. We looked so happy, so certain of our future. I picked up my phone and texted Liam, "We need to talk tonight. Don't make plans." He responded 20 minutes later, "Everything okay?" I didn't respond. The rest of my workday dragged by in slow motion. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped, thinking it was Liam calling to ask what was wrong. But he didn't call, just sent another text at 4:30. "Heading home now. See you soon." I left work at 5:45 and drove home through rush hour traffic. My mind kept circling back to the same questions. Who was she? How long had this been going on? Was it someone I knew? Someone from his office? Liam's car was already in the driveway when I pulled up at 6:20. The living room lights were on. I could see his silhouette moving past the window. I sat in my car for 2 full minutes gripping the steering wheel before I forced myself to go inside. Liam was in the kitchen, pulling leftover pasta from the fridge. He looked up when I walked in and smiled. "Hey babe, tough day? You look exhausted." I set my purse down on the counter. The credit card statement was still inside, a coiled snake waiting to strike. "We need to talk," I said. His smile faltered. "Okay, what's going on?" I pulled out the statement and placed it on the counter between us. Liam's face went completely blank. Not confused, not surprised, just blank. That's when I knew. Before he said a single word, I knew. "Simone," he started. "Explain it," I said. My voice sounded strange, too calm, like I was narrating someone else's life. "Explain why you have a secret credit card with $8,347 charged to hotels and jewelry stores and expensive restaurants I've never been to." Liam ran his hand over his face. He looked at the statement, then at me, then back at the statement. His jaw worked like he was trying to form words that wouldn't come. "It's not what you think," he finally said. "Then what is it?" I asked. "Because it looks like you've been taking someone to expensive hotels and buying them jewelry from Tiffany's. So please, tell me what it actually is, because I'd love to hear the explanation." "I can't," Liam said quietly. Those 2 words hit me like a slap. "You can't?" I repeated. "You can't explain why you have a secret credit card? You can't explain $8,000 in charges?" "I need time," he said. "I need to figure some things out first before I can explain." "Time?" My voice was rising now. "You need time? Liam, I found a credit card statement showing you spending thousands of dollars on hotels and jewelry. I don't think time is what you need. I think the truth is what you need to give me, right now." "Simone, please. Are you cheating on me?" I asked. The question came out flat, matter of fact, like I was asking if he'd picked up milk from the store. Liam's eyes widened. "No! God, no! I'm not cheating on you." "Then explain the charges," I shouted. All that calm from earlier evaporated. "Explain why you stayed at a hotel twice. Explain the lingerie. Explain the jewelry I've never seen." "I can't," Liam shouted back. "Not yet. You have to trust me." "Trust you?" I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to my own ears. "You've been lying to me for months. You have a whole credit card I didn't know existed. You've been sneaking around, and now you want me to trust you?" Liam reached for my hand. I pulled away. "Don't touch me," I said. "Not until you tell me the truth." "The truth is complicated," Liam said. His voice cracked. "And I'm trying to protect you." "Protect me from what? From knowing my husband is having an affair?" "I'm not having an affair." Liam's voice rose again. "I swear to you, Simone, I am not cheating, but I can't explain the rest right now. I need a few days, please." I stared at him, at the man I'd married 3 years ago, the man I'd built a life with, and I realized I didn't recognize him anymore. "Get out," I said quietly. Liam's face went pale. "What?" "Get out of this house," I repeated, louder this time. Get out of this house. If you won't tell me the truth, I don't want you here. Go stay with Gavin. Go stay at one of those hotels you've apparently been visiting. I don't care. But you're not staying here. Not tonight. Simone, please. Get out, I screamed. The kitchen fell silent except for the sound of my ragged breathing. Liam stood frozen, staring at me like I'd struck him. Then, slowly, he nodded. Okay, I'll go. He walked past me, grabbed his keys from the hook by the door, and left without another word. I heard his car start, heard him back out of the driveway, heard the engine fade as he drove away. Then I was alone in our kitchen, staring at a credit card statement that had just blown up my entire life. I called Ania at 7:43 p.m., sitting on my kitchen floor with my back against the cabinets. I kicked him out, I said when she answered. Good, Nia said immediately. What did he say? Did he admit it? He said he's not cheating, but he won't explain the charges. He said he needs time, that the truth is complicated, that he's trying to protect me. I laughed bitterly. Protect me? Like I'm supposed to believe that. That's what they all say, Nia muttered. I'm coming over. No, don't. I just need to be alone right now. You sure? Yeah, I'll call you tomorrow. After we hung up, I sat in the quiet house for another 20 minutes. Then I stood up, grabbed my laptop, and did what any suspicious wife would do. I started investigating. First, I logged into our joint bank account again and went back 6 months instead of 3. September, August, July, looking for any transfers to accounts I didn't recognize, any cash withdrawals that seemed unusual. Nothing. Liam's paychecks deposited regularly. The amounts were consistent. No large cash withdrawals, no transfers to mysterious accounts, which meant the money for that credit card was coming from somewhere else entirely. I opened a new tab and searched for Capital Reserve Financial. Their website showed they specialized in business credit cards, cards for entrepreneurs and small business owners. The application process required proof of business ownership and revenue. Liam owned half of Hutchins and Drake Engineering. He could easily qualify for a business credit card. But why would he need one? The firm had corporate cards already. I'd seen Liam use them before for client dinners and business travel. Unless this wasn't for business, I pulled up the credit card statement photo on my phone and studied the charges again. Tiffany & Co. on November 8th. That was a Thursday. Our date night had been that same week on November 10th. We'd gone to our usual Thai restaurant, and Liam had seemed completely normal, happy even. He'd made me laugh telling stories about a difficult client who kept changing the specifications for a bridge design. Had he bought jewelry for someone else 2 days before our date night? My stomach churned. I pushed the laptop away and stood up, pacing the kitchen. The house felt too quiet, too empty. Usually, Liam would be home by now, watching basketball highlights in the living room or reading engineering journals at the dining table. My phone buzzed. A text from Liam. I'm at Gavin's. I'm sorry. I love you. Please believe me that I'm not cheating. I stared at the message for a full minute before responding, then tell me the truth. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, soon, I promise. I threw my phone onto the couch. The next morning, I woke up on the couch where I'd fallen asleep around 2 a.m. My neck ached, my phone showed 8 missed calls from Liam and 3 texts asking me to meet him for coffee. I ignored them and went to work. At 11 the same morning, Liam showed up at my office. Bree buzzed me. Simone, your husband is here. He says it's urgent. I almost told her to send him away, but I needed answers more than I needed to avoid him. Send him in, I said. Liam walked into my office looking worse than I'd ever seen him. Dark circles under his eyes, his shirt wrinkled like he'd slept in it, hair uncombed. We need to talk, he said. Please, give me 10 minutes. I crossed my arms. Talk. The credit card isn't mine, he said. I blinked. What? I mean, it's in my name, but I didn't open it. I didn't make those charges. He pulled out his phone and opened his banking app, turning the screen to face me. Look, this is my personal account. Every paycheck gets deposited here and I transfer money to our joint account. You know this. I did. I'd seen this account before when we'd applied for our mortgage. Okay, I said slowly. So? So look at the balance history. Go back 6 months. I took his phone and scrolled through the transaction history. Paychecks in, transfers out to our joint account, gas purchases, lunch spots near his office. Nothing unusual, and definitely no payments to Capital Reserve Financial. I don't understand, I said. If you didn't make the charges, then how is the card in your name? Someone opened the account using my information, Liam said. My social security number, my business ownership documentation. They had access to my personal files. Identity theft? I asked. You think someone stole your identity? Not someone random, Liam said. His jaw tightened. Gavin. The office suddenly felt airless. I stared at Liam. Gavin, I repeated. Your business partner? Why would Gavin steal your identity? Because he wants me out of the company, Liam said. He's been pushing to expand the firm, take on bigger projects, hire more staff. I've been saying no because our overhead is already tight. Taking on debt right now would be risky, but Gavin doesn't see it that way. He thinks I'm holding him back. I set Liam's phone down on my desk. So your theory is that Gavin opened a credit card in your name and racked up charges to make it look like you are having an affair? Even as I said it, it sounded insane. To force me to sell my half of the company, Liam said. If you divorced me, you'd be entitled to half of my assets, including my share of the firm. That would force me to either buy you out or sell to Gavin, and I couldn't afford to buy you out. I sat back in my chair. That's a huge accusation, Liam. You're saying Gavin committed fraud, identity theft, all to force you out of your own company? I know how it sounds. That's why I didn't want to tell you until I had proof. He pulled out a folder from his laptop bag, but I found it last night. He slid the folder across my desk. Inside were printed emails, bank statements, and documents. The first was a credit card application with Liam's name and information, but the signature wasn't his. That's not your signature, I said. No. Look at the email address used for the application. I looked. lhutch@hde.gmail.com. I don't use Gmail. My email is liam.hutchins@hdeengineering.com, but HDE is what we called the company when we first started, Hutchins Drake Engineering. Only people from the early days know that. Like Gavin, I said slowly. Like Gavin. I flipped through more documents, bank statements showing payments being made from an account I didn't recognize, transaction records matching the charges on the credit card. If Gavin made these charges, I said, where's the stuff? The jewelry, the hotel stays? Liam's face darkened. I think he's been using them for himself or for someone he's seeing. He's married, I said. He has a daughter. I know, but I've suspected something for a while. He's been taking long lunch breaks, being weird with his phone. He mentioned a work trip in December that never actually happened. The hotel charges on that card? December 18th, same week as his fake trip. My head spun. This was too elaborate, too cruel. You need to go to the police, I said. I did, Liam said. This morning. I filed a report for identity theft and fraud. They're investigating. I looked at him. You really filed a police report? Yes, because I'm telling you the truth, Simone. I didn't cheat. Gavin did this to frame me. I wanted to believe him. The evidence was compelling, but something still felt off. I need to think, I said. This is a lot. I understand, Liam said quietly, but I'm not giving up on us. I'll prove it to you, whatever it takes. He left my office and I sat there staring at the folder for a long time. At 3:15 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Hutchins? This is Detective Ramirez with the Financial Crimes Unit. I need to ask you some questions about the credit card fraud case your husband filed. Can you come to the station today? My heart raced. Yes, I can come after work. I'll text you the address. I arrived at the police station at 6 p.m. Detective Ramirez was a woman in her late 40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She led me to an interview room and asked me about everything. When I found the statement, what Liam had told me, whether I believed him. In your opinion, Detective Ramirez said, is it possible your husband is lying and fabricated this story to cover up an affair? The question hung between us. I don't know, I said honestly. I want to believe him, but I can't be sure. Detective Ramirez nodded. We're investigating. If Misty Drake committed fraud, we'll find evidence. But if your husband filed a false report, that's also a crime. The truth will come out, either way. I left the station feeling more confused than ever. That night, I stayed at Nia's apartment. I couldn't face going home to that empty house. At 10:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your husband is lying. I saw him at the Pemberton Hotel bar on January 11th with a woman. They looked very close. I have photos if you want proof. My blood went cold. I took a screenshot and immediately forwarded it to Detective Ramirez. Then I called Liam. Someone just texted me, I said, when he answered. They said they saw you at the Pemberton with a woman on January 11th. What? Liam's voice was sharp. That's impossible. I was never at the Pemberton. Simone, this is Gavin. He's trying to add more fake evidence. How do you know it's him? Because who else would have my number and yours? Who else would know about that specific date on the credit card statement? He's panicking because I went to the police. They said they have photos. Then let them send the photos, Liam said, because I was never there. I can prove it. On January 11th, I was at a city planning meeting until 9 p.m. Then I came straight home. You were already asleep when I got back around 9:45, remember? You'd fallen asleep on the couch watching that documentary about ocean life. I did remember that. I'd been exhausted that week and had passed out early. The meeting was public record, Liam continued. The city keeps minutes. My name will be on the attendance list. I'll get you a copy. Okay, I said quietly. Simone, please, Liam's voice cracked. I know this looks bad. I know you have every reason to doubt me, but I'm telling you the truth. Gavin is trying to destroy us. We talked for another 10 minutes before hanging up. I didn't know what to believe anymore. The next day was Friday. I was at work when Detective Ramirez called. Mrs. Hutchins, we need you to come back to the station. We have some findings from our investigation. My hands shook as I drove downtown. When I arrived, Detective Ramirez led me to the same interview room. We've made significant progress, she said. We subpoenaed security footage from the Pemberton Hotel for the dates on the credit card statement. And, I asked, your husband was never there, she said, but Gavin Drake was, on both November 22nd and December 18th. We have clear footage of him checking in, alone on November 22nd, with a woman on December 18th. My mouth fell open. We also traced the email account used to open the credit card, Detective Ramirez continued. The IP address traces back to the engineering firm's office, specifically to Gavin Drake's computer. So Liam was telling the truth, I breathed. It appears so. We're bringing Mr. Drake in for questioning today, but I wanted you to know first. I left the station in a daze. Liam had been telling the truth. Gavin had stolen his identity, had tried to frame him for an affair, had tried to destroy our marriage. I called Liam immediately. The detective called. I said, they have proof, security footage, the email trace, everything. You were telling the truth. Liam exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for days. Thank God, Simone. I'm sorry, I said, tears streaming down my face. I'm sorry I doubted you. You had every right to doubt me. It looked terrible, but I'm just glad the truth came out. Come home, please come home. I'm already on my way. 2 hours later, we sat in our living room while Detective Ramirez explained everything. Gavin had opened the credit card in November, had used it to fund his affair with a woman he'd met at a conference, had deliberately made the charges look suspicious enough to destroy Liam's marriage, had even sent himself that anonymous text to me, hoping I'd think Liam was cheating and file for divorce. He's being charged with identity theft, fraud, and filing a false police report, Detective Ramirez said. The evidence is overwhelming. What happens to the business? I asked. That's a civil matter, she said, but I'd recommend getting a lawyer. Mr. Drake's actions likely violated your partnership agreement. After she left, Liam and I sat in silence for a long time. I can't believe Gavin did this, I finally said. We had them over for dinner. We went to his daughter's birthday party. I know, Liam said. His voice was hollow. I trusted him. We built that company together. And he was willing to destroy everything just to get his way. What are you going to do about the firm? Buy him out, Liam said firmly. I'll do whatever it takes. Even if I have to take out loans or bring in investors, I'm not letting him profit from this. The next week was chaos. Lawyers, meetings, police statements. The local news picked up the story. Business partner commits fraud to force company buyout. Gavin's face was plastered everywhere. His wife filed for divorce 3 days after his arrest. The woman he'd been seeing at the Pemberton came forward with her own story about how he'd lied to her, told her he was separated, promised her a future. By the time Valentine's Day rolled around 2 weeks later, Liam had secured a business loan and officially bought out Gavin's half of the firm. Gavin was facing multiple criminal charges. His reputation was destroyed. Liam and I went to Marcello's for our rescheduled dinner. The hostess gave us the best table in the house, the one by the window overlooking the city lights. To new beginnings, Liam said, raising his wine glass. To the truth, I said, clinking mine against his. We sat there, holding hands across the table, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again. My husband hadn't cheated. He hadn't lied. He'd been the victim of an elaborate scheme by someone he'd trusted completely. And in the end, the villain hadn't gotten away with it. Gavin had been exposed in front of everyone, his marriage destroyed, his reputation ruined, his career over. Justice served cold on a February night.